The name rompers for these really makes sense. Like, I wanna frickin' romp, y'all. Romp! I just got back from visiting Matt in London. He's on tour right now, so I got to go spend like 2 weeks with him, and it was lovely. You're lovely. And I missed you so much. But I had wrapped up all of my projects really neatly before I left. So as the end of the trip was approaching, I was like, what are you gonna do when you get home? And part of me just wants to dive straight back into the stained glass project and get some more progress done on that skirt. But a much bigger part of me would like to do a project that I can finish in less than like, 6 months. Obviously there's my list, there's always my list, but no project on it was like standing out and screaming my name as I should be next. So I could do that good old draw a random project out of a hat thing, or out of an apple container. Your little paws are all wet. Did you go out in the wet grass? Or I could do a random project that's not even on my list. Was that enough gratuitous puppy footage? Look at that little lump. Are you such a fluffy lump? While I was running around London, I saw at least 2 lovely young women wearing like coverall style jumpsuits. And the second time, we were on the underground standing next to each other, so I was close enough to see that it was from the company Lucy and Yak. And I was like, you know what? I kinda like that. I kinda want one. And honestly, Lucy and Yak seems like a pretty good company as far as clothing companies go, with me having done 0 research but just like glancing at their website. But I am a sewist, so you know, I'ma make my own. Also y'all, oh my god, look. This is very full, so I will be very careful as I say look. Can you focus on that? No, of course it's not gonna focus on that. Capybara mug! It's a capybara holding a little duck. Oh my god, it makes me so happy. I found it at the London Zoo. They actually had a lot of really cute animal mugs, but you know, I could only allow myself to get one, and the capybara was absolutely the winner. Yay, new mug! Now, I have made a coverall style jumpsuit before, but I made it as coveralls for painting, so it's pretty covered in paint these days. And also I made it out of a slightly stretchy terry cloth material, which is also really warm. And also, I don't save anything when I self-draft a garment, so that helps me basically not at all. We are starting from scratch here. I have no fabric in mind for this though. I mean, of course I absolutely have fabric that I can use for it. There was just nothing that I could recall from memory that would be good for this, especially in the non-stretch category. So to the fabric closet we go. It's a little full in here right now. I did not bother organizing all of my road trip purchases, so they are folded and stacked neatly. 'Tis neat, it's just not organized. Oh Lord. I was thinking the other day that I should undertake the massive undertaking of removing everything from this closet, washing all of it, so then it's all pre-washed and I can stop worrying about that and messing with that and having to keep track of that, and then burn test every single piece in here to get a basic idea of what the fiber content is before cataloging all of it and putting it back in. It just sounds like a horribly unpleasant project. Not even necessarily because of the washing, and definitely not because of the burning and cataloging. I love both of those things. I need a vacuum in here. But because I would have to iron so much of this material. Like if you wash something and then dry it, it's typically wrinkled afterward. And if you put something wrinkly away without ironing it and it sits there for months or possibly even for years, let's be real, those wrinkles will pretty much need to be washed out when you end up using it anyway, because they'll be so set in there, right? But ironing yards and yards and yards of fabric all in one go, Gross. I don't know though, you can argue for or against this plan in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. Try to convince me one way or the other. I do like the idea of a neat catalog of my fabric, just not the steps to get there. Anyway, let's look at the recent stuff. I could go linen, but I think this would be very see-through, and this is not something I want to line. I want it to be light and comfortable and not 2 layers. So it needs to be a fabric that is not see-through, and it needs to be a fabric that is also pleasant texturally on the inside. Ooh, okay, but strawberry coveralls? I don't know that I have enough of this. Actually, as I say that, I'm realizing I don't know how much this will take. Also, do I want it to be like pants or culottes, capris, or shorts? Shorts would actually be fun. Like, we're heading into summer right now. 100-degree weather is coming up. So this is a little thinner than I was thinking of, but I think it could work because it's not really see-through. And that'd be really, really cute. Option 1. I think the only other thing from my new stuff that could work is maybe these two. These are also, however, the same, you know, like a quilting cotton kind of thing. I don't think I want to do stripes on this because of the way everything is going to be cut. A small part of me would want to start pattern matching. No, okay, not this. Possibly this. But usually these coveralls are in sort of a thicker, denim-ish or canvasy style of fabric, so I don't know if I need to go that direction for like the structure to work. I don't know. I don't work very much with non-stretch material, despite how much of it I have. Ooh, okay. I do have this denim-y stuff that has the hidden animals in the print. I got this from Swanson's. This could be enough for a shorts version. That'd be pretty cute. Okay. And then there is this as well. Very like kind of historical feeling fabric. It is pretty thick, but not too bad. Actually, that's less thick than I thought it was. That could be kind of fun. We're going back to stripes here, which I just said I don't want to do, but I feel like how varied all the stripes are gives it a different feel than just like stripes. Huh. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Speaking of pre-washing, I'm gonna go ahead and pre-wash all 4 of these materials, and then we'll decide later. Love procrastinating on deciding things, but hey, while I'm pre-washing, what a perfect time to talk about the sponsor of this video, right? Right? Right. Notice anything new? Y'all, this video is sponsored by FlexiSpot, and they are always expanding their line of furniture in new and exciting ways. They asked if they could send me their Japanese joinery bed frame, and I was like, well, we've been using the guest bed for many, many years, and it's getting a little creaky and wobbly, so a new bed frame sounds great to me. Then I saw that they have a lovely walnut color, which like, all the trim in this room is walnut. It matches perfectly. Not only is FlexiSpot's bed frame really affordable, it's high quality, made from solid rubber wood that doesn't damage easily, with a protective coating to avoid scratches on the surface. I was on my own to construct this baby since Matt is out of town and the puppy lacks opposable thumbs, and it was completely doable by myself. The whole thing goes together like a puzzle, which is just so cool to me. While there are some bolts added at the end for extra security, if those ever loosen, this interlocking joint is still completely secure. That makes the bed super solid, no wiggling or wobbling, and I love the little details they've included in the design to make it really comfortable. The legs are recessed on the bottom, so you're able to push the bed fully against the wall without the baseboards getting in the way. There's lots of space underneath the bed for storage or for a puppy hiding place, and the headboard is the perfect angle for sitting up in bed reading. They've really thought of everything, and I so appreciate that in a piece of furniture. FlexiSpot's products are also ready to ship, no waiting required. So click the link in the description below to experience the FlexiSpot bed frame for yourself. Don't miss out. Use my exclusive code THESTITCHERY for an instant discount. Transform your sleep with comfort, convenience, and unmatched value. Now let's go see if I've made any decisions about those fabric options. We are washed, we're dried, we're ironed. I have made some decisions. This denim is honestly so soft and delightful. I think because it came from Swanson's, it probably had already been washed prior to me getting it. So it's like, it's nice. I'm definitely gonna do this. We're gonna start with this, make coveralls, and then maybe, if it goes well, and this video isn't feeling like it's too long, I might make a second pair out of the strawberries. I think a shorts pair out of this would be so cute. New conundrum. This garment requires a zipper, at least the way I'm doing it, and a pretty specific type of zipper because it does have to go from here to here. You know, it has to be fairly long. I don't want it to be an invisible zipper. I have a bunch of zippers, and yet I have a sneaking suspicion that none of them will actually work for this. Like, I don't want to use some stupidly random color. I want this to be a good looking garment. Also, why do I have so many invisible zippers? It's kind of like me having a stack of patterns back there. It's purchases I made before I figured out what type of sewing I would be doing, or like what type of garment I would be most consistently making. Don't start going nuts on buying supplies until you've actually started doing the thing, because you might figure out that you don't need a bunch of the stuff that seems like the thing you should get. Zippers and patterns seemed like the logical thing to get. I don't end up using either of those very often. Those are all out because these are separating ones on the ends. I kind of stocked up on those right before Joanne went away, and this is the thing, I can't just run out to Joanne today and get the type of zipper I need. I could try Michael's. I don't know how prolific their zipper section is, but I could try it. Those are all invisible. Sorry, I burped as I said that. I do have a navy one. This could be okay. But if I want to do the strawberries, I don't really have anything that would work. I kind of also do like the bigger metal zipper on these, like the Lucy and Yak ones. I don't know. I might run out to Michael's. Regardless, I need to have lunch first, which is great because I just discovered there's a new season of Somebody Feeds Phil on Netflix. And you know what? The world might be a disaster right now, but thank God Phil Rosenthal is out there proving that there are wonderful humans in the world. This show, ooh, y'all, even more so than like Great British Bake Off, which is a very comforting show to me, but this one is like comforting and hopeful and literally will lift your mood. Highly recommend if you've never seen Somebody Feed Phil. I don't know who hasn't seen that, but yay for a new season! Well, I had to go to Michael's for glue anyway, so I checked their zippers. Abysmal. Not a lot of great options. I just went ahead and ordered what I wanted on Wawak, which is fine because waiting for that to be delivered, which should happen today, gave me time to finish my puzzle. It was covering my cutting out table anyway. This one's so cool. I think I got this one at Writer's Block in Las Vegas. It's like the story of the Odyssey. I'm missing a ruler. Got it. When it comes to design, I love when that happens. Goodness, don't lose the pieces. When it comes to the design of the coveralls, I really like how the Lucy and Yak ones have elastic on the back waistband. I think that's just the easiest way to make these kind of form-fitting, but also adjustable. However, while I was waiting for zippers to arrive, I had time to think about the design, particularly the sleeves. I haven't had the best results, I guess, so far, trying to self-draft set-in sleeves, especially with a non-stretch fabric where the sleeve is not puffed, so you can't just like stretch things and gather things and make it work. And honestly, I probably have a pattern, I'm sure I have a pattern somewhere in my collection of patterns that has set-in sleeves that I could like use that portion and expand on the rest of the pattern and stuff like that. But it would be a pattern I haven't used before, so then I don't know if it's going to fit just right and everything. All that to say, would it be crazy to do raglan sleeves? And by do raglan sleeves, I mean, would it be crazy to use my one and only pattern as a jumping off point? Part of me is like, stop using that pattern. Why do you keep doing that? But on the other hand, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Also, as somebody pointed out, I'm basically just using it as like a block, a bodice block at this point. And I really do like both raglan sleeves and princess seams. So it's just such an easy place to start for so many different garments. My thought process is this. You need some sort of shaping on the front of the bodice for les boobs. Again, just because I glanced at the Lucy and Yak ones, I noticed that they have these darts right here, like the side seam darts, which would work, that'd be fine. But also I could just use a princess seam going to the waistline, and that would also give me boob shaping. Yeah? The back, we don't need shaping because it'll be on elastic. So that can be one panel, but yeah, if I do raglan sleeves, I can use the sleeve pattern and then I can use sort of the top of the existing pattern and then I'm basically just having to draft the pant portion myself. How does this sound? Sounds like a helicopter going over. I'm gonna attempt to do what I so rarely do because I would theoretically maybe like a second pair of these and actually make pattern pieces, or at least attempt to make pattern pieces. This always ends up feeling pointless because I always end up changing so many things in the process that the pattern pieces are no longer accurate. Based on my experience with the dressing gown that I made, which was my first time making this pattern with sleeves and everything in a non-stretch fabric. Based on that, I think I should expand the sleeve a little bit, just a little bit, so that they're not like tight to the arm sleeves. I like the way that fit was on that garment, but I think literally like an extra inch would just give a bit more looseness around it. But the fit around the top, like how it attaches to the armhole, should be fine. And that's the handy part of having this. That's the part that I don't want to figure out, especially right now. That's the part of set-in sleeves that I'm like, I don't want to figure this out. It's too specific and precise. And I'm just usually not in the mood. Sometimes I'm in the mood. I'm not in the mood right now. Sleeve. Now I'm just realizing if I added 1/2 inch, that affects where it attaches. So what I actually need to do is add 1/2 inch lower down, but not on the top. I need paper scissors. Oh yeah, that's plenty long enough. Ooh, you know what I was gonna do? Well, oh well. I was gonna expand it like 1 inch into the neck because I have found that the neckline on this works really well in the original pattern in a knit fabric, but when you do it in a non-stretch fabric, it kind of tends to sit too far out, especially if you're not adding a binding. So I would potentially be adding a collar to this, but I would want the crew neck to sit a little higher. So I just need to remember to do that when I'm cutting out the actual fabric. This is my reminder to myself to do that. I will probably still forget. I'm gonna write it on the pattern so I don't forget. So for the front of the jumpsuit, I would want this to not be on the fold. I would want it to be 2 separate pieces because the zipper's going down here. And I think I will add an extra inch there, probably for seam allowance, but possibly also for a slightly looser fit. Basically, for safety. Side front, no changes to this that I can think of. Now for the back pieces, I want to take the two pattern pieces and combine them into one. Again, mainly for the top line, for that neckline and the place where it attaches to the sleeves, because from there, I'm gonna want to expand it outward so that I have enough fabric to gather into that elastic and to get over my hips. That's the whole thing. Your neckline, which granted the zipper is open, so like it's fairly easy, but you need enough space in the waist to get over your hips. Ugh. Stay. This one can be done on the fold, so I really only need to do half of it. You actually wouldn't want the back piece to be that big, or you'd have like this really bulky gatheredness back there. I'm gonna trust that this is enough. I'm adding about 5 total inches to the back piece, and I feel like that's enough for a gentle gathering. I also feel like I have enough of this that I can possibly recut that back if it ends up too small. So that, in theory, is it for the bodice. Drafting the pants, I will probably do that right onto the fabric. And I need to know what my circumference is here, what my measurement of the waist seam is, because right now I did make these pattern pieces longer than the actual waist seam. Why? Because I like to make my life harder. Also, what length of pants do I want here? I do like this slight flare, like the flared kuat kind of look, because I'm not big on straight-legged pants. I have 90s PTSD about straight-legged pants. Not to be dramatic or anything, but I was wearing them long after flared pants were in style, and I remember being embarrassed about it constantly, which means never in my life, I don't think I will ever be able to return to wearing like straight pants. I'm fine with skinny, and I'm fine with flare, but the straight ones just set off the part of my brain that's like, no! Anyway, let's get some stuff cut out. On the back panel, I added an extra 2.5 inches on the bottom that will fold up inside the garment to hold the elastic. And then I decided to extend the neckline only half an inch because a full inch seemed, just too much. I added some extra to the sleeve length after measuring from my underarm to see how long I want them. This is because I would like a little cuff on the sleeve, I think, maybe. We'll see. And then the side front piece, I ended up extending just a half an inch because I'm scared. Always make it bigger. The print on this is going in both directions, which is actually really helpful because then you can do it whichever direction you want. So like the zebra is standing this way, but the giraffe is standing this way. So you kind of just have to decide which one you want. Very handy though. My giraffe is right in the center, so I think I want it this way. With the bodice all cut out, 'twas time to draft those pants right onto the fabric. We love risk around here. I did end up going with a sort of mid-calf length and a wide leg. Are these gonna be too wide of legs? I don't think that's too wide. I like a good wide leg. Y'all, just so you know, I consistently think there's no way this is actually gonna turn out right. There's no way I just did that right. Because it's like a marvel that my brain can figure stuff out. And I don't fully believe it. So I'm like, nah, this can't possibly be right. But at some point you just have to cut it out and go for it anyway. And then, you know, sometimes it is right. But the next time I do it, I still think, there's no way. This can't possibly be right. Seems pretty good. Okay, for the back. Am I gonna fit on this fabric? It's risky. We're gonna go right to the edge. And because somebody's probably gonna ask, that wire thing is a mold of my own crotch that I made in a video a while back. It's very handy. Highly recommend making yourself one. Ooh. That might be perfect pockets. Oh yeah, I also cut out a variety of pockets because of course I did.
Gonna have to decapitate the giraffe.
I like doing the one layer pockets that are sewn onto the outside of the pant leg. Not only do they save fabric, but also they hold things better than a pocket inside a pant leg, you know? So I kind of want to do like a wide, not cuff like folded on the outside, but like a wide hem along the bottom of these, which would require sewing on a separate piece, which I'm fine with doing, but this is the fabric I have left right now. This much. And I don't really want to cut that down at all until I find out if this is wrong, because right now that's enough to cut out a new piece if something goes wrong. So I think I'm gonna wait on that until the end. And for now, we technically have everything except the collar. I have to figure out how to do a collar. Let me look that up really fast. Okay. Just basically that shape. Simple enough. I'm gonna wait on that as well though, because I'm gonna need my exact neck measurement. Let's go sew stuff. While waiting for the zippers to arrive, because my delivery guest was off by a day, I sewed all the pockets onto the pant pieces and added the darts to the front ones. The zippers have arrived! Oh, they are quite big. Are we freaking out? Yeah. I'm not very good at visualizing measurements, so these are actually a little bigger than I was picturing. Like, the neck size down, I think was what I was picturing. But I don't really mind them being chunky zippers, so these will work. Like so. I was basically waiting for the zippers to arrive because I tend to leave the zipper insert till last when I'm constructing a garment, and based on some stuff I've heard and watched from more experienced sewists, it's actually better to put it in first and sort of build the garment around it, you know? Only I couldn't actually put it in first because I needed to add the bodice to the pants first, so I think I'm gonna pin a bunch of stuff together. Like possibly the whole garment, because I'm nervous about it not fitting, even though it'll probably be fine. Bam! That was slow and very persnickety, but I think we're good. On the inside, because the zipper is actually quite heavy, especially at the bottom, and quite metal, so I put a little covering thing on the inside bottom of the zipper just so that, you know, it's kind of like right there. Kind of felt like it needed to be covered. Now let's make the back, which should be theoretically way easier, yay! For the back, I had to figure out exactly where to sew the legs onto the bodice so that the side seams would line up perfectly. So, you know, a lot of fiddly pinning and measuring and repinning and remeasuring because I draft things too big and then have to figure it out later. Then I could create the channel for the elastic, string that through, and sew down both sides. What a sweet little potato you are. Now we can attach the front to the back, and here's a little advice if you're ever doing French seams on a garment. You don't actually have to commit to both lines of stitching at the same time, if that makes sense. It tends to feel like you should do seam 1 and then seam 2 of a seam, and then move on to the next seam. But you can actually do all the seam 1s and then try it on and see if you need to adjust anything before doing the seam 2s. Yeah, I feel like I just said a bunch of nonsense, but it kind of makes sense, right? It fits shockingly well. Let's do the sleeves. We started the drafting with the sleeves and now we'll finish the sewing with them. Oh wait, there's still a collar and the hem, so never mind. Sleeves are all good. It appears that I did not extend the top of my sleeves, that 1/2 inch that I extended the front and the back piece. I really thought I did. I guess I didn't. I don't know, I'm just gonna futz around with a collar and see how that goes. Yay, wish me luck. I started by making a smaller collar piece out of scraps, just a little test thing so I could see how it lays and folds and stuff, and then with the measurement of my neckline and a total guess on the width, I cut out 2 pieces, stitched them together and onto the garment, and So this is why I was trying to extend the neck inward. A collar typically sits right against the back of your neck, whereas the crew neck on this dress pattern is a little bit lower down. So this kind of just looks weird, even though I don't mind the feel because I don't like stuff touching my neck. I might forego the collar altogether on this one and try either a facing or a binding. I don't know, I gotta think about it. While thinking about that though, I went ahead and hemmed those legs. In the end, I had made them way longer than they needed to be, are we surprised? So I was able to just fold up the existing fabric into that thick hemline that I wanted. Okay, I gave it some thought overnight and I ended up doing like a sort of binding collar combination thing. It's still a little bit wonky. It's not really wonky. I made it not wonky. It was a little wonky in making it. I think that one of these pieces needs to lose like 1/2 inch in width because this is still just like a little gapey. Like it needs to slope slightly more inward. I'll probably take it off the back piece, but I might also take it off here. Not on this one. I'm fine with this one. And I very, very much like it. So I do want the strawberry version. I'm gonna do it shorts, but other than that, it's gonna be like the exact same thing as making this one. I think I will try to do the neck extension properly and do a proper collar on it this time, but like basically the same thing. Yeah, so we're not gonna film it. I'm not gonna film it. I am gonna go out and try to find a different zipper for it. I think this one works okay with this fabric and everything, but it is like, it's too chunky. Especially being metal, it's just like too chunky and too heavy for the lighter strawberry fabric. So I'm probably gonna run by Quilting for Community or maybe even Remainders, and if I still can't find one that I like, I'ma just order again. We are adjusting to life without Joanne. It's okay. But yeah, I'm just gonna make that off camera because it's pretty much the same and it'll be a surprise for the final product, which is right now. My screen slide didn't really work because there's a mirror back there. Y'all, no notes. At least not really on this one. I love this one so much. Even with the collar having been a little bit weird, I'm okay with it. I'm perfectly fine with how it looks and I love how it feels. I would probably always wear these slightly open anyway because I very much sensory-wise like my neck to breathe. But the fabric is so soft and it has a really natural ease to it. So the whole thing just fits really well. But it's both a combo of it fitting, as in like being cut and sewn correctly, and the fabric being good, you know? Like different fabrics really do affect things. This just has such a good ease to the fabric. It's not a stretchy fabric, but it's got great ease. And then like, I don't know, the size of the pants helps, I think, but like I feel very movable in this whole thing. As opposed to this one, which still feels just as good. Like it still fits, which makes sense. I used the same measurements, I used pattern pieces, I made pattern pieces, y'all. So like the fit is the same, but it's just not quite as comfortable to actually wear and move around in. Like that one, the one that I'm pointing to off screen here, the denim one, when I bend over in it, it like molds to my butt, which is what you want. As opposed to this one, when I bend over in it, I'm kind of like, ooh, you're about to pop some seams. And I really think that that comes down to the fabric way more than the cut, the fit, the sewing, all of that. Like, it's just a fabric that doesn't have as much of that ease to it, you know? That being said, it's a pretty cute fabric and I still really like it. Oh my God. It's so cute. But this one, I do have notes. I did get the extension on the neck correct, really correct, to the point where like, that's right up on my neck, y'all. If I ever wanna make like a fitted shirt, which I really would not, this is actually exactly right. It's like right around my neck. I like my neck to breathe though, so I can't wear it this way. It was nice to do it like that and to get the collar, a more normal collar drafted and everything. So like that worked out really well, but yeah, I cannot wear things on my neck like that. Nope. It's kind of like I can't have my hair touching my ears if I want to get anything done. But yeah, I think because of the type of fabric it is, I could have used like a little more ease in the butt, a little more room back there. And then I totally forgot that on shorts especially, this kind of applies to pants as well, but I notice it more on shorts. You don't want extra fabric between the legs, so you actually have to draft that inseam. If this is your outseam, this is your inseam. Instead of straight like I did it, you almost need to draft it inward. Not almost, you do. You need to draft it inward so that when you sew that together, it straightens out instead of having extra. So like I drafted it straight and I've kind of just got like extra fabric between the legs. Something to remember for shorts in the future. Other than that though, it's still really nice quality. I did flat felled seams, y'all. I haven't done many of those, but I did it on the one right here. And then I did it on this one here. So that was fun, that was interesting. It's a little more fiddly to me than a French seam, which is why I typically just do French seams. But I do like that it's flat and there's no anything sticking off on the inside. Like that is nice for some garments. You don't necessarily want a seam on the inside all the time, and this is a great option. I'm so happy I tried making these. It really has been, I don't know, an example of how my sewing has progressed. Like, I was making this and just kind of, I don't know, looking at it at the same time as I was making it and looking at it finished, and I was like, this is pretty dang good. Like, this is pretty nice quality, and it fits you properly, and it's super comfortable, and it's a non-stretch thing. Like, I think when I make knit garments, it's always like, yeah, of course it's comfy and it fits. It's a stretch material. But when I can make something out of a non-stretch material that is partially self-drafted still, I mean, the pattern was a very helpful little beginning base to go off of, but there was a lot of self-drafting here as well, that like my seam finishes are all good and it feels comfortable and it looks nice on the inside and the outside. I don't know, I'm proud of myself on this one. And I've really been getting some examples lately of how much I have progressed as a sewist, which is cool to see. I no longer have no idea what I'm doing. Now I slightly know what I'm doing. Which is why it's time for me to start exploring some other stuff as well, you know? Like once you feel like you know what you're doing, you gotta go try some crafts that you're totally clueless about again. I like being clueless. I like trying new things that I have no idea how to do. So that's why this channel is gonna have even more of a variety of both sewing and other stuff from now on. I'm excited. Let's go do stuff. Yeah! Oh, upside downies. Ooh, pokey. My pants. You are such a precious puppy boy. A precious puppy boy. That is you. Oh, Lordy. Oh, what is this camera angle? That's garbage. Notice anything new? Bye. And it's still really adorable. You don't have your microphone on right now, you idiot. Shall we try that again with sound?